say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
You are now entering the Sports Strip Podcast. Brought to you by JCA Sports. Jose and Enrique Contreras.
Another show in the books. Here we are, once again, back on Facebook Live, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter. If you guys missed us, we did a second show back-to-back for you. Well, actually, back-to-back-to-back.
Yes.
The third time. You see, Eric, he literally just accomplished a triple crown right now. A hat trick.
Right. I really did.
You know, did what we all wish aspired to do.
I'm in the same boat. I'm in the same boat as Kareem Benzema and Robert Lewandowski, bro. Hitting a Hatties, bro.
There you go.
It's a
back to back. He three-peated on us. We're welcome to the Sports Drip Live podcast, brought to you by Anchor. We're broadcasting on multiple platforms. My name is Jose Contreras, alongside my brother from the same mother, Enrique Contreras, and my other brother from a different mother.
Hi,
Eric Avila. We're all brothers here.
We're all brothers here.
Yeah, one way or another, through blood, through marriage, you name it. But yeah, we're here. We're here. We have a great show to talk about. A lot to go over in the world of combat sports. It's like, you know, for MMA and wrestling, it's always something new. There's always something going on. There's always something different. And you know, and speaking of different, we're gonna change things up. We're gonna switch things up a bit. We're gonna talk wrestling. Usually, we always go MMA and then move on to wrestling. But we're gonna talk wrestling first because wrestling right now is on fire. Jeff Hardy just joined All Elite Wrestling literally today. We'll get into some AEW. We'll get into some WWE. Stone Cold's making a comeback, guys. Believe it or not. Or is he? Right? Let's get into it. That's what we're going to go right into. We're going to go right into WWE. Stone Cold Steve Austin, our childhood heroes, slated to come back to do a segment, a match with Kevin Owens. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen, but I want to get you guys' initial reaction because when I first seen this, it's been rumored for weeks. We were like, really, Stone Cold? Is he really going to come back to wrestle? Right. He's been away for 17 years?
Yeah, like almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years away from the ring. His last match was against The Rock at WrestleMania. And yet he's making a return here in Texas at WrestleMania 38, I believe, against Kevin Owens. I mean, what's your guys' reaction? We'll start with you, Ricky.
Yeah, I mean, when I first heard the news, I didn't believe it because why after almost 20 years would Stone Cold Steve Austin come back, risk his health, you know, and just come back and do this match? Obviously, you know, they're going to pay. If he does come back and wrestle, they're going to pay him a big chunk of money to come back. And maybe that would be his motivation to come back. Maybe he's feeling the itch to come back into the ring and be in front of the Texas crowd, his hometown crowd. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about a guy that we watched when we were kids, man, back in the Attitude Era, back in the 90s. And every time you heard that glass shatter, like it just amps you up, and you're ready to see this guy come out and whoop some ass and
the crowd
give
going
Stone Cold
crazy.
Stunner, right? The crowd going crazy. So, I mean, initially, yeah, I would say I was a little excited, you know, because it is Stone Cold Steve Austin. At the same time, I feel like, okay, well, why is he really coming back? You know, and of course, this is WWE. This is the kind of thing they do. They need guys, you know, they need guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin to come and drum up more interest to the product. So that was my initial reaction for him coming back.
Yeah, Eric, what was your initial reaction seeing Stone Cold Steve Austin making a return at WrestleMania?
My 7-8-year-old self that believed that wrestling is still real was like, I actually kind of excited. I ain't gonna lie, I was pretty excited. The 30-year-old myself really sad that like
I say the same thing, man.
like why? Like what's the whole point? Like I agree with you guys or with Ricky. 20 years, at least 17 years for sure. What was cool about it though was the way how he announced it. I don't know if you guys saw the video or not of how he announced it, but it was like a drone shot of him and his Wrangler or his ATV. I forgot what he was driving. And it was just a shot. It looked like a scene coming off like The Walking Dead or one of those zombie movies or something like that he was gonna come out with, right? And the next thing you know, like I just seen him like it's just a camera still shot of him and he comes out the door. And right here, I was like, "Oh shit, Stone Cold Steve Austin." Talk about Kevin Owens and all that. Talk about the last match he had. It was a loss at WrestleMania, and talking about the background what Kevin Owens has been saying for the last couple of weeks about Texas and all this stuff and all that. And granted, right? I literally said to myself, "Bro, are you really up to this? Like seriously? Like, come on, man! Like you said it yourself. 17 years since the last time you were in the ring. Now." You're not the Undertaker that continued doing it. You know, he had life-threatening serious injury with his neck.
Like a neck.
Hell yeah.
It was just like, okay, cool. I'm excited to hear the glass shatter one more time. I'm excited to see the Stone Cold Stunner one more time because the last time I seen it was what? I know it was at WrestleMania with the what are the guy's name? The Kofi Kingston, Big E.
Oh, it was the new guy.
When he Stone Cold stunned one of the guys. That was the last time I saw Steve Austin, man. And I'm like, all right, now, like you said, I don't know if it's a match. I don't know if it's just the show. I don't know if we're just gonna see him who has the best stunner between one of them two. Am I excited? I guess, yeah. But will I be interested in watching him fight? Nah, man. It's too many. It's a gap.
It won't be a match because of all the reasons you just said.
Right.
He physically, I don't think he's able to do it. The guy's in great shape. You see Stone Cold Steve Austin right now. He looks amazing.
Shit, that's the only white guy I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
he looks amazing for his age. And
I want to look like that at almost 60 years old, man.
Right,
to be honest.
Exactly. And that's the crazy part. He's that old. He's legit almost 60 years old. And you think about it, you're like, wow, there's really not much he can do in the ring. But if there's one thing he can do and do well, Eric alluded to it. He can cut a great promo. Mm-hmm. Like you said, that Walking Dead scene, a drone shot was amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's because that's what Stone Cold does well.
Right.
He was always good on the mic. He was always good on the. He was always good to give you a good cheer, right? To put the heel over or to give him the rub or whatever, in all these wrestling terms, do stuff like that. That's what Stone Cold is good at. And that's what I feel like is going to happen at WrestleMania. That's why he says KO show. Kevin Owens has this segment on wrestling where he has his own show. He sits down with the guest. He's been talking crap about Texas all week, just like Patrick did in SpongeBob.
What's good about dumb old Texas?
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly what he did. And, and that's what, that's just going to carry over to WrestleMania. The glass shattered, huge pop from the crowd. He's going to come out. They're going to have a great segment, a great promo to get people laughing. It's WrestleMania. It's entertainment, right? And that's what we'll get out of Stone Cold. I don't think we'll get a match because, again, physically, I don't think he's up for it. But how cool would that be, right? Maybe
we'll just probably get a stunner. That's probably what we'll get.
We'll get a little.
We'll see that.
We'll get a fight.
Because they both do stunners now. That's Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens is not going to do a stunner on Stone Cold in Texas. No. That's not going to happen.
That's definitely not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
But then again, he did lose in WrestleMania his last time. So
but that was for The Rock.
Right. Right. So maybe just to get that like, oh my God, they went the other way. Like, just a controversial talk for WWE because they need the audience. They need the conversation that Kevin Owens did stun Stone Cold Steve Austin. So maybe.
But knowing how Stone Cold is, I don't think he's going to come back for that. I don't think he's going to come back to get embarrassed in his hometown. No. I don't see it.
It's not good. It's not good for business. Mr. Man's all about business.
Yeah. I'll tell you what though. On Monday Night Raw, they did kind of fuck with the crowd a little bit when after Owens announced that he was going to be on the KO show, the glass shattered and the music hit and people popped, and they thought that he was actually going to come out, but it was really just an announcement that Stone Cold is going to be on the KO show. I'm like, man, they were bogus for that one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, interesting, right? Interesting to see what. Obviously, leading up to WrestleMania, Stone Cold's going to make an appearance. They'll have their segments. So I'm very interested in seeing what's going to happen there. But Stone Cold Steve Austin, in my book, is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I know you guys can agree. Well, I want to ask you guys before we move on. What's your favorite Stone Cold Steve Austin moment, Eric? What about you? Well, let's start with you.
Oh man, dang, you really got me think. I mean, the famous one that everybody will go to is the hospital scene with Vince McMahon, right?
The bedpan.
The bedpan with everything, like, oh yeah, next thing you know, bedpan, you know. I mean, he had plenty of, like, didn't he throw the belt over the bridge, the Rock's belt over the bridge? I mean, you have the beer truck.
The beer truck.
You have a lot. The Booker T fight in the grocery store.
Yeah, that was funny.
Dude, like, you can't go, like, you could go on and on and on, like, but to, like, my all-time favorite one though, I mean, it has to be the beer truck, right? I mean, I think it was the first time in a very long time that parents took their kids drunk home after spraying their whole. Anybody within the first 5 rows, probably their kids got a taste of it and probably went home drunk and hung over to school the next day.
Only Stone Cold.
Only Stone Cold.
All right.
What about you, Ricky?
Everything that he just said. There was one that I loved the most too was the Zamboni. It was the night after he lost the championship, and Vince McMahon, Kane, and The Undertaker were in there in the ring. He comes out in the Zamboni, and then he gets on top, jumps and clotheslines McMahon, and starts hitting him, starts punching him on the ground, and everybody's going apeshit in the crowd, like all excited. So that I think was, but like at least one of my favorite moments of Stone Cold.
No, yeah, Eric said mine. It was the grocery store fight with Booker T. That was so good. That was so good. The whole thing.
You know what one I forgot to mention too? The one where he put cement on Vince McMahon's car.
Oh, dude.
Oh yeah. The Corvette, I think it was a Corvette or something.
Corvette, I mean, he had great moments. Even when he had hair when he first came out, he had some good moments too. Like you said, I think if you want to go 1 and 2, and especially we're gonna have obviously the 2 nights before the WrestleMania is the inductions to the Hall of Fame of the Undertaker. I think you could easily put them number 1 and maybe number 2, depending where you want to put them. And I think those guys were like probably the pinnacle of the Attitude Era, if you kind of think about it, you know, Undertaker coming out the way what he did, and then Stone Cold Steve Austin moving from the $1 Million Man to actually saying was, you know, Stone Cold Austin 316. It just elevated WWE to a whole nother atmosphere, especially for the 90s and the early 2000s.
Yeah, it was the Austin versus McMahon rivalry that really put them on top. It made them it was so good. It made them beat WCW in the ratings back then during the Monday Night Wars and all that. So, I mean, that's why I always believe that Vince McMahon has always been the greatest heel in wrestling ever, and Steve Austin was Steve Austin was obviously the biggest babyface in wrestling. So, without those two, I don't think I don't know who knows where WWF would have been or WWE would have been now if it wasn't for Steve Austin coming in and then doing the angle between him and Mr. McMahon.
Dude, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, for sure.
Real prayers in the comments, guys. My favorite Stone Cold moment was when WCW invaded WWE and Stone Cold just came in and opened a can of whoop ass on everybody for real.
And then he joined them too, right?
And then he joined them. He joined them McMahon.
He joined them.
Oh, I mean, he wasn't WCW originally, right? Back in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
He wasn't.
like we said, like he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I think he's on everybody's list, whether if you put him number 1, number 2, number 3, he's definitely top 5 for sure for everybody. And I think Vince McMahon is the only one that had put Steve Austin is the only one that Vince McMahon actually put in the Hall of Fame that actually spoke. Now it's going to be Undertaker's turn for the Hall of Fame. So, I mean, again, like we said, those two guys, they're pinnacle for the WWE, WWF, wherever how far back you want to go. And they're the ones that made wrestling. I mean, obviously, Stone Cold was the reason why I turned into wrestling and was into wrestling up until he left. And that's when it started dying out for me. But I'll tune in every once in a while I listen to his podcast. I don't know if you guys do too as well.
Oh yeah, he's
If that's on Spotify or on Peacock, but I've watched majority of his episodes, and Steve Austin can deliver, whether if it's on the ring, if it's in the ring or on the airwaves, man. He's always been that one guy that you could probably look up to and be like, yeah, that's that dude.
Would you guys, does him coming on to WrestleMania and being on this Kevin Owens show, does that pique interest? Does that pique interest for you guys? Will you guys be on watching that? Does that do it for you?
I mean,
gonna return
I guess for nostalgic reasons, right? Just to hear that glass shatter, just to see how he looks now, see how he, how obviously the crowd is gonna react, strong when he comes out. They're gonna go nuts. Just for that alone, I would watch that segment at least, because nothing really else on WrestleMania actually interests me besides Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and then possibly the Edge and AJ Styles match. But other than that,
the Edge and AJ Styles match is gonna be crazy.
But yeah, just to see him. I mean, why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. What about you, Eric? You be tuning in to WrestleMania for that reason?
Well, for me, the only times I actually do watch wrestling is SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, Survivor Series. It's probably like the only reasons. And then every so often I'll tune in to SmackDown or to Raw. But like to actually get me to sit down and watch it, I'll still watch the matches, even though I barely will know a person or two. But I still watch. I watch it every year. But this time, for like Ricky said, for nostalgic reasons, I'm in it. I'm definitely gonna buy a 316 shirt, probably buy a skull one. When he comes out, I'm gonna just beers and just on whoever's floor I'm gonna be sticking up middle fingers to my kid or to whoever's kid at that point, whoever's there with me, and just go about it, dude. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin, like I said, he was my childhood, so I'll do it. I'll definitely be watching like I've watched every year.
Real Perez back in the comments. Thank you for watching, buddy. He says, "Let's be real. We can all say it's not going to pique our interest, but once you hear that glass shatter, it's back to our childhood days." Definitely. I beg to differ, real. I'm a fan of wrestling even now. I watch both WWE and AEW products. I like shitting on WWE because they're just creatively, they're just bad at just promoting, and they're just bad at creating content, at least great content, great matches for their talent. But regardless of the fact, I still watch it. I'm still a fan. But I get it. Bring Stone Cold, Dallas, Texas. Why not? Do what you got to do. It's a 2-night event. WrestleMania is. It's not just one night. It's both Saturday and Sunday.
That's what I don't like.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
They want to get everybody involved, and I get it.
Because otherwise when they don't do the 2 nights, it's a like 8-9 hour long show, and that's to me, I think that's worse because they've done long as WrestleManias.
But it's worth it though. I mean, to be honest, isn't it worth it? Because it's your pinnacle, it's your all-time, it's your all-star game, how we put it in sports. It's your World Series, your NFL championship. It's your top of the crop. Everybody will tune in to watch WrestleMania. For a one-night event for 5 hours, I think people will still be tuned in to watch it.
It's more than 5 hours.
It's more than 5 hours. No, that's the problem.
If you're at home, absolutely. You're at home, you're watching it. You could go away from it if you want, but if you're there at the stadium, that's hell.
Yeah, that is.
I mean, is it really though? Like, I mean, really? You think so? Because it's WrestleMania, man. Like, it's where like everybody just goes all out tops with their entrance and.
Yes, for the entrance, but the matches aren't as good as you'll have 2 or 3 matches the most. This isn't AEW. For those who watch AEW, they know AEW, every single match is going to be quality, every single one. But for WWE, you'll have your matches that are quality, but then you'll have your matches that are like 2-3 minutes.
Just filler. We got to fill the time.
Right, and what's the point of that? You know what I mean? It's like.
And I feel like that's where you kind of have to go and delegate and say, you know what, let's put our top matches out there and just the top matches only.
The thing is, a lot of times when they sign their contracts, they have those in their closet. Hey, I want to be at WrestleMania, the biggest stage of them all, because for talent like them, that's how they get their exposure. That's how they make their money. To be able to sell merchandise, you have to be on stuff like WrestleMania. So that's why we talk a lot at WWE. It's like you put yourselves in that situation. You can't. You don't give any creative control to your talent at all. You literally don't build stars. You shit on them night in, night out.
And then you bring back guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin to try to drum up the interest. But really, you gotta build up your guys. You gotta put them in the top spots. And And then every year we're seeing Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, which at least this time I don't mind because it's different. You know, the roles are reversed. Roman is the heel now, which he should have been a long time ago.
Right.
But if you think about it, look at how many times have these guys headlined WrestleMania already? You know what I mean? But it makes sense because those are their only two stars. They did not put any effort in creating any new ones besides Roman and Brock. You feel me?
Yeah.
Maybe the women's division. I don't know. Even then, so it's kind of starting to get diluted a little bit with Ronda.
The women's division is the same thing, though. You have the same.
Ronda and Becky
thing
coming back. It's already.
You have your top 2 stars in Charlotte Flair and Ronda and Becky Lynch, and then you bring in Ronda Rousey, who's going to take over all the time, and she's going to take over. She's going to just automatically be right into the picture, and then you have girls like Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Bayley, all these girls who just don't get, who don't get.
I still feel like they did my girl Sasha Banks bogus though, low key.
They do.
They did. I feel the same way.
What's her name? With the one with long hair?
Bianca Belair.
Bianca Belair. I think they still did her Grammy too as well, but whatever.
Well, she's going to be facing Becky Lynch for WrestleMania, so I could see her winning to kind of give her back that win that Becky Lynch took from her from Survivor Series.
Survivor Series.
It was one of those two. I think it was SummerSlam.
It was in the summer.
It was one of those two. It was one of those two. But yeah, I think they're gonna give her that win back because that was a 17-second win. If they don't give her that win back, at least it'll be a much competitive match, and they should be because they literally did her bogus.
Like if it's a competitive match, like entertaining competitive match, I wouldn't mind either or winning. Honestly, I think the way that they did Bianca Belair that way, I think it's just one of the I think 17 seconds was too short, and it just makes you scratch your head like why exactly
like, why
competitive match, and then whoever wins is fine by me.
Let's move on to AEW. Revolution, Ricky was actually no, it's the same WWE because I actually before we get into AEW, I wanted to talk about this. I heard this today on the Keep It 100 podcast with Disco Inferno and Conan, and this really piqued my interest. This is about WWE, and we have a unification title match at WrestleMania between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, right? This initially wasn't the plan. I thought it was. I thought this was always going to be the plan with these two guys facing for the unification title because reports came out that what's his name? The guy, he's a Khan, but he's literally, I think he's like in charge of creative now, creative control.
Nick Khan. Nick Khan, right?
Yeah. Nick Khan doesn't like the fact that there's a brand split and that you have Roman Reigns on Fox, Brock Lesnar on NBC, when NBC also wants Roman Reigns and Fox also wants Brock Lesnar. So he kind of wants to get rid of the brand split, which is why they're now doing this unification title match to give, obviously, we all know both titles are going on Roman Reigns. He's going to be the top dog. That's what he's the tribal chief. And but that way they're both on both shows. So they're getting rid of the brand split. They're going to have only their top males and females on these shows, which makes a lot of sense as to why they were just cutting and letting go superstars, just left and right. This past few months, right? But actually the past year, they've been doing it for a long time. It makes sense. But originally, this wasn't the case. Originally, before Nick Khan had said he didn't like the brand split, Brock Lesnar was to never win the WWE Championship. Instead, they were going to throw it on one of these four guys, Edge, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, or Matt Riddle, because there's supposed to be two matches added to WrestleMania, which is the AJ Styles and Edge, which is already confirmed. And then Randy Orton's supposed to turn on Matt Riddle, and they're supposed to have a match at WrestleMania. And one of those two matches were going to be for the WWE Championship. So when I heard this, I was like, "Wow, this is interesting." Like why did it? I understand why they didn't do it after all, but that AJ Styles and Edge match, if that match is already confirmed for WrestleMania. But if that would have been a WWE Championship match, why not? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
But it's
but them ending the brand split, it makes a lot of sense because look, they every year at Survivor Series they do Raw versus SmackDown, and then they say the only time of year that Raw guys versus SmackDown. But really, if you've been paying attention to the shows, these guys show up any week they want to. So it's never fresh. It's never anything new. You'll see Raw guys on SmackDown or SmackDown guys on Raw. So ending it makes a lot of sense. And then doing this unification title match, having one champion being on both shows. I mean, why wouldn't Fox or NBC want either Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar on both shows, on their show? instead of just choosing, oh, I want Brock instead of Roman or Roman instead of Brock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember back in the day. I remember back in the day when I used to watch religiously SmackDown and Raw. I think it was everybody was on the same show, right? It was this whole drafting thing where you draft SmackDown or you draft Raw that kind of like started ruining a little bit of wrestling too. I think that was also kind of the demise of WWE, WWF as a what's the word I'm trying to look for here, as an organization. And actually and honestly just ruining the brand of WWE, not giving the people the fair shot, because you're gonna have a lot more talent on Raw that you're going to have on SmackDown, but at least in SmackDown, you will have that opportunity to make a name like Eddie Guerrero did. He was the king of SmackDown when they first did that split. So it's the opportunity for those come-ups, for like that certain reason for the come-ups people to be like that. Is it a smart idea? I think so too. I think it actually ran its course literally within the last 5 years. The brand split and everything.
I mean, it made sense back then, like when you're saying where it gave guys like Eddie Guerrero a chance, an opportunity to become the top champion. It made sense back then. Nowadays, it just needs to die. They need
it really does. Have them all on both programs. Get your money back. Get the interest back level for the fair weather fans like myself, because I'm not gonna lie to you guys straight up. Like, I'll watch just the main, like I said, WrestleMania, Survivor Series, SummerSlam.
You know nothing wrong with that. We've been there too. You know.
And I think it's time. It really is time. So. Yeah, why not do it? I mean, hey, and I'm just upset that you're just saying that they're gonna get rid of RK Bro. I think that was like the best thing that has ever happened in wrestling.
They're leading up to it. Yeah.
He's wrestling since Hornswoggle and I forgot who else he was with, that just made that combination just perfect. Man,
I think next Monday is when because I think they have a title match, or was it this past Monday? But they have a match coming up where I think if I think Randy Orton said it. He's like, it'll be the last thing we'll do if we either win or it'll be the last thing we'll do. So like they're leading up to him turning heel on Matt Riddle and them having a match in a feud at WrestleMania. That's how every like makeshift tag team works. Yeah. When you put two stars together, it's always to lead them up into a match.
Yeah. This one worked though. I mean, they could do a little more with them, but hey, you know what? It'll be a good match. I mean, because you couldn't find two guys more opposite than Matt Riddle and Randy Orton, but it worked. You know what I mean? So that's what makes it. It makes it very very entertaining.
Randy Orton's just one of those guys, man. Doesn't matter what era, doesn't matter where, like who you put him in the ring with, who you partner up with. He's like Chris Jericho, where it's like he just comes up with like different characters, different versions of himself, and he's still the badass Randy Orton that you can never get tired of.
And he fits with everybody, to be honest. Right. Like him and Edge, him and like I said, damn, I forgot his name now. Matt Riddle. Wasn't there a time where it was him and I mean, obviously him and Triple H, but Batista and all of them guys, like he just fits like his character. Evolution, yeah, his character fits with almost anybody in a very creative way, and I think Randy Orton.
One time I remember him being in the Wyatt family too, and it worked. I remember with Bray Wyatt. You remember that? And dude, I love that story. That's one of the good things I'll say about WWE, man. Currently, like they had a good story with Randy Orton joining the Wyatt family, and I remember Brody Lee, rest in peace. He suspected that he was gonna turn on him, but Bray Wyatt didn't listen. Then eventually he did turn on him and on the Wyatt family. So that was a good story, man. Randy Orton, he does fit well with just anybody. You put him in there with anybody, and it'll work.
Brody Lee, formerly known as Luke Harper, rest in peace. But Randy Orton, like I said, is just one of those guys, man. Like Chris Jericho, you just switch up his character. You can put him anywhere with anybody, and it's magic. It really is.
He stays relevant.
He does stay relevant, and he stays in good shape too. For a guy his age and how long he's been in WWE, he stays in great shape, man. Kudos to him.
Yeah. Kudos to him. Eric, thank you for joining us, man. I really appreciate you jumping on today. We're talking wrestling. It's been a pleasure. You're always welcome to hop on, talk about boxing, MMA, wrestling, whatever we have going on. Thank you for watching.
Before you go, Eric, what's your take on the Canelo fight with Bivol?
Oh, okay. So that one, the Canelo fight, I honestly think The one thing I like about this is he's actually taking on the challenge, right? He's taking on a challenge on a person who's young, who's undefeated, who's up and coming, and in a new weight class. And to be honest with you, how I feel, I think it's a fresh start, and it's starting the path of Canelo Alvarez to be the greatest boxer of all time. I think him taking control, taking everything that he did in his division. Well, I don't know why I'm spacing out in the division that he was before, but him taking control of the division and winning almost everything in between of his weight class and going to a new weight class is the start of his
super middleweight. I think what it was.
Middleweight, yeah, thank you. If he goes out and he dominates, then you're going to start having the conversation of if he's now not only top 10, not only top 5, but top 3 worthy, right? Of his legacy. I know you're talking about another fight with Triple G probably in September. I know that's been up there, that's been marketing, and there's another fight in between too as well after this. Goddamn, I forgot. I was reading about it the other day.
Isn't there something between him and Kamaru Usman that's supposed to happen?
Yeah, that's the one.
But I don't see that happening though. I don't either. Kamaru Usman's out of his mind, bro.
Yeah,
bro. Hey, it'd be interesting, man. I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
But I don't think Canelo is that guy to do that though. I think he's literally serious about the sport. He's serious about the opponents, and now he's gonna face against fresh up and coming boxers in this new weight division that want a taste of him because they know what Canelo Alvarez is and what he has done and where his status is. Not only if it's the payday, but it's also an opportunity for these up and coming boxers to make a name for themselves to either go head toe to toe for Canelo Alvarez or and they're gonna win out with the money too as well. But Canelo Alvarez, this is the next stepping stone, and the next step if he dominates. Because let's be honest, guys, we have probably, I want to say, 8, maybe 9 good fights left of Canelo Alvarez before we're gonna start seeing his decline for sure. And why start now and see how far you can go.
And Eric, I got one more question for you, man. Are you familiar with David Benavidez?
So I read about him the other day. I just started learning about him, and I honestly believe that's a name that you should look out for. Yeah, because this kid, he looks like the real deal, man. He looks like Ryan Garcia should have been.
He's undefeated, isn't he?
He's undefeated.
Yeah, undefeated with 22 knockouts, man.
Yeah, that's a great take.
25 wins, man.
That's a great take. He is what Ryan Garcia should be right now.
Yeah,
absolutely,
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I honestly believe so. So. Yeah, man, I'm all into boxing.
A lot of people are claiming that Canelo's ducking him, man. That's a lot of people.
I don't think Canelo is really ducking him because
I don't think he is either. But it's just claims.
It's just claims. But give it. You know what? Give it till September of next year where we get to see that fight.
I think so.
Give it to September of next year. I think let Canelo have his 1-2 warm-up fights in this new weight class. Then give him the Triple G next May, and then hit him with that fight.
So,
yeah,
we'll see that.
Absolutely. Eric, a man of all talents, came on and talked soccer with the EFP podcast. We were talking football on the JCA Sports podcast. You know what? He's not here.
He was talking soccer before that.
Yeah, he was talking soccer, football. And here we are talking wrestling, boxing, man of all talents. Eric, thank you for joining us.
Let's let him go before he loses his voice, man.
Yeah, right.
I'm good, man. I got vocals for days. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, we'll see you Monday, man. We appreciate you.
For sure. All right, guys, have a good one. I'll still be watching you guys on Telefano, so I got you guys on right now.
We still have a lot more show to go, guys. But yeah, thank you, Eric, for joining us. Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, Ricky, let's get into some UFC, man, because UFC right now. It was a big pay-per-view on Saturday night, UFC 272, Masvidal versus Covington. It wasn't the match we wanted, but it was the match we expected. Is that fair to say between the two guys?
It's fair to say that it didn't live up to the hype and all the trash talk that came into it, but we did expect this to happen because of how good Colby Covington is in the wrestling and how good Jorge Masvidal is in the stand-up, right. But again, this isn't boxing. We were just talking boxing right now. This is mixed martial arts. You got to be good you got to be good on the feet and you got to be good on the ground. And if you're one dimensional, you're going to have a long night.
Absolutely. Colby Covington isn't going anywhere anytime soon. He picked up arguably one of the biggest wins of his career against former friend Jorge Masvidal via unanimous decision in the main event of UFC 272 on Saturday night at the T-Mobile Arena. Covington used his dominant wrestling, as Ricky just said, pressure and crafty striking to wear out Masvidal, who was able to gut it out until the end. But it wasn't his best performance, as he mentioned. Covington said it in his post-fight news conference. Just a lot of emotions going into it. That was a real friend of mine at one point, and in my career, I let my emotions get the best of me. But I was still dominant. I showed the world how good I was. Ricky, what was your reaction? What did you take out of this fight between Masvidal and Covington?
Yeah, it's like I said, it didn't live up to the hype. I saw it coming into this fight. I was hoping we would see more out of both guys, but in the back of my mind, I knew it wasn't gonna live up to expectations.
Right.
And the thing that surprised me the most is that Jorge Masvidal, supposedly knows this guy. He's known him for years. He's trained with him. I was just surprised that he was not really able to, or he just didn't work on the wrestling enough to try to defend these takedowns, because he knew this was coming.
Exactly.
He knew this guy was going to come in. He was going to clinch him against the cage, and he eventually was going to take him down. And that was what surprised me the most. I knew Covington was not going to try to stand up with him. He did throw some punches. He was touching Masvidal, and the only reason he was able to do that is because Masvidal had to worry about getting taken down, and Covington knew that. But just basically what I expected it was going to go. I will say this though, Masvidal, he connected with a flush punch right on Covington's chin.
Yep,
right. But the only thing was that he didn't have the energy. It reminded me of the Nate Diaz versus Leon Edwards fight, where he caught him in the 5th round, but he didn't follow it up. In this case right here, Masvidal was just done. He had no energy left. He had this guy on him, all fight, just keeping him down, striking him. His energy was gone. So that's unfortunately unfortunately for him, it didn't work out. It didn't go his way.
It didn't go his way at all. But like I said, it went a lot. It went a way a lot of us thought it would. Covington winning by unanimous decision. I think we both came on here and said it, that we wouldn't be surprised somebody gets knocked out, because these guys both physically, like, literally hate each other. Where we know that was like on the back of their minds, I want to knock this dude out. But we both knew who the better striker was. We both knew who the better grappler was, and it showed with Covington winning the fight. But did you anticipate Covington being so dominant, Ricky?
Well, a part of me says yes. I expected him to be dominant. I didn't think he was going to be this dominant. I thought at least. Well, here's the thing. He was trying to attempt a rear naked choke on him many times in this fight. So if we're going to give any kind of credit to Jorge Masvidal, he did defend pretty well, even though he was getting dominated. He was defending on the ground pretty well. He prevented Covington from locking in any kind of submission. Covington really didn't land any real significant strikes while he had him on the ground, and so it was dominant, but it wasn't entirely dominant. You know what I'm saying? Because at the same time, Jorge did defend. He was defending, but he just couldn't get back up to the feet. He couldn't bring this fight standing up anymore, and that's all credit to Covington for putting. He knew he didn't want to stand up with Jorge Masvidal. It seems like to me that Masvidal didn't come fully prepared for Colby Covington.
Yeah. As you mentioned, Masvidal had a chance in the 4th round to win after clipping Covington, making him stumble. He didn't attack when he should have, Ricky. We both agreed. I think it's because he was gassed. He was tired. He had no energy. I mean, whenever you're down on the mat and when there's a guy just putting his weight on top of you, like literally just hitting you with punches, trying to get
I can test to I can test to that, man. I've done jiu-jitsu in the gym. When you got a guy like 160, 170, 180 pounds of just on you, bro, it's a whole different animal than just hitting pads in the gym.
Right.
When you're wrestling, when you're doing jiu-jitsu, it really takes your entire your entire body You got to use your entire body to try to maneuver and try to defend, and then try to sink in a submission yourself. It's
literally a game. It's a game within a game because you're trying not to get submitted. You gotta fight this guy trying to. And there's so many different ways he can submit you. He can grab your arm, grab your leg, choke you out, or he can get on top, get on a full guard, and start grounding pounding you. Like your whole point is to try to get out and or reverse it, submit him, or hit him.
Right. You gotta worry about getting submitted or getting hit, right, while at the same time trying to get back up on your feet, especially if the ground game is not your cup of tea. So that's very taxing on the body, and I could tell you that from experience.
Hell yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, Ricky, what's next for Jorge Masvidal? I mean, there are reports that maybe a fight with Conor McGregor makes sense, but he's coming back. He's coming from 2 losses, man. One against the current defending champion, Kamaru Usman, getting knocked out by him, and now against his bitter rival, Colby Covington, who basically disrespected him the entire match, dominated him. So what's next for him? What do you see next for
Masvidal? He signed a new contract before this, leading up to this fight. Very lucrative. Yep. Yeah. Was it 6 or 4? I'm not sure if it was 4 or 6.
6 fights, bro.
6 fights.
6 fights.
And not only that, but lucrative. So they're going to pay this dude. He's making a lot of money. So he isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
The thing we can say about Masvidal is, as far as him being a contender, that's out the window. I don't see it happening anymore. All right. But there's still fights. There's still fights for him to. There's still a lot of fights out there for him, like you just mentioned. Conor McGregor. We don't know what Conor McGregor's doing next, but we've all seen the photos of how jacked he is now, right?
Oh, he's big. He's swole.
He's big, dude. That tells me that he's planning his next fight. He's planning at 170 pounds.
Yep.
Because there's no way he's gonna drop all that muscle to fight back at 155 pounds. You know what I'm saying? So a fight between him and Masvidal, two of the top drawing fighters in the UFC right now, that's money. That's a main event. Another non-title main event right there. People are still going to want to see Masvidal.
Right, and you know that it's not going to be a match like he just had with Colby Covington, because Colby Covington's his strengths are wrestling. So obviously, when you have a wrestler and you have a guy who's predominantly good at striking, the wrestler's always going to win because all they have to do is take the striker down and just smother him and get him tired, as we saw this past Saturday. But both McGregor and Masvidal have the exact same type of fighting style. These guys are strikers. You're going to see both these guys like literally just punching each other. They're going to throw lands, all types of strike. I can't even talk. Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's going to be crazy. It'll be crazy.
Yeah. It's going to be a spectacle. It's exactly what people are going to want to see. And it's going to headline a pay-per-view, non-title.
Right.
And like I said, the 2 top guys in the 2 top drawing guys in the company. And then you also have a potential fight with Nate Diaz for the second time. Nate Diaz is another guy people want to see. They love to see him fight. That's another possibility. Maybe even down the line, a fight with Leon Edwards, because I think Kamaru Usman's winning when those 2 guys fight.
Yeah,
that could happen.
And they don't there's some beef between Masvidal and Leon Edwards as well.
Yeah. So they got some unfinished business. So his path is clear to me as far as what's next for Jorge Masvidal. It could be any one of those fights.
Yeah, I mean, if you're UFC, you gotta book him in a way where it's you
gotta get your return on investment. You're paying this guy a lot of money.
Yeah, dude. Yes, you gotta get your money's worth, because again, you have him on a lucrative 6-fight contract, and he's on back-to-back losses against legit opponents. So you gotta build him up again. So exactly, a fight with either Nate Diaz or Conor McGregor will be huge, not only for him but for UFC as well, for sure. As far as Colby Covington, Ricky, he called out who he wants to fight next by saying, I just took care of Miami street trash. Now it's time to take care of Louisiana swamp trash. Where you at, Dustin Poirier? He also went on disrespecting both Poirier's wife and child. This was a scumbag move for Colby Covington, Ricky, but definitely an easy way to get a reaction. What do you think of a possible fight between these two? And did Covington go too far for insulting Poirier's child? And and is that stuff kind of good? Is that stuff good for the sport of MMA? But the first one is between let's go into first between the fight between those two. Is that something you would want to watch?
Oh yeah, definitely. I would love to see that fight, man. Because you got to understand, the entire American top team hates Colby Covington. They don't like that. I mean, you go from Joanna to Dustin Poirier. I mean, even Dan Lambert probably said some things about him too. I mean, that entire fight camp over there, that entire gym, can't stand that guy. You know, and I'm sure they were all pulling for Jorge to beat him, but it was not to be. So we got Dustin Poirier to probably, hopefully, save it for them. I can see this fight happening. I'm just not sure where. Is it going to happen at 155 pounds? Is it going to happen at 170? Is there going to be a catch weight? Who's going to move up? Who's going to go down? You know, or who's going to move up? Exactly.
Poirier's not in the welterweight division right now.
No, he's not. So he's either he's gonna move up to 170, or they're gonna meet up at a catch weight.
Right.
And I believe it'll be a different fight because Poirier is also a good wrestler, and because both guys are good wrestlers. Usually, when you got two guys like that, they usually cancel each other's styles out, and it turns into a stand-up fight.
Yep.
So
absolutely. Yep.
You know what I mean? So that'll be an interesting one to see. But as far as beyond that, his path is not very clear to me. Just like how Jorge's was, because you got to think he lost to Kamaru Usman twice already, convincingly. Right. So he's not going to get a title shot right away. He's not going to see Usman for a while if he even gets to Usman again. So we don't, as far as at 170 pounds and trying to contend back to a championship, I don't know. I don't know who would be next for him. We do have Khamzat Chimaev and Gilbert Burns fighting next month. Yep. And I think the winner of that fight gets the next crack at Usman after Edwards. So we'll see, man. I've also heard him calling out Israel Adesanya, which makes no sense to me. I don't know, why would you want to?
he wants to move up to middleweight. Look, Colby Covington is already big for his size. I think he could definitely move up to middleweight division if he wanted to. But I agree, that's not smart. Israel Adesanya is a different.
And it's not just Israel Adesanya, dude. We're talking about the whole division. You got Robert Whittaker as well. You got Marvin Vettori. You got Kelvin Gastelum, Jared Cannonier. Those guys are monsters, bro. They're big. They're physically bigger than Colby Covington, and I don't think he wants that smoke over there, bro. He should stay where you're at.
Yeah. But going back Dustin Poirier, you mentioned it, and I agree 100% with you. Both guys very similar in style, and if it's a stand-up game, I don't know who I would give that advantage to, man.
That's a tough one.
It's a tough one. It really is. My second question, Ricky, in those three questions that I asked, did Covington go too far insulting Poirier's child, or is that just who he is?
From what I heard, that's not who he is. That's him putting up a front and trying to drum up interest for his fights. That's why a lot of people called him, that's not who he is. He's fake or whatever. But at the same time, I wouldn't go that far. I would not. Look, when you can call your opponent any kind of name, whatever you want, it's fair game. But when you start talking about their wives, you talk about, and then even their children, I think is too low of a blow for me. Talking about the children and saying, like, dude, come on, man. That's why for me, like, I respect Colby Covington as a fighter. I think he's a great fighter. It's hard for me to like this persona that he puts out for the camera. I'm like, dude, just, you can promote your fight a different way. You gotta bring in the women and the children in it. You know what I mean?
Right. He's in wrestling terms, he's the heel. He's trying to get over with heat. You know what I mean? He's trying to get heat from the crowd, heat for himself. And I don't think that's the way to do it in MMA.
No, I mean, if wrestling is pro wrestling. That's where you could. I mean, I don't even know if they take it that far either. Sometimes they do, but that's where that belongs. But in combat sports, nah, man, get that shit out of here.
So I guess the next question is easy. It's not good for the sport of MMA. That kind of trash talk. Because more guys do it, man. Conor McGregor's guilty of it too. He's guilty of going after guys' wives or personal lives, and it's you see it more often than not in MMA.
Well, at least with those two guys, I've seen it. I'm not sure who else has done it. I can't think of the time who else did it, but Colby Covington, he's And then he's talking shit about LeBron James that makes me laugh too. The thing about they say that the biggest problem with Kobe is that he calls out people that he's not going to fight.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like just focus on the people you're going to fight. You're also not going to fight their wives. You're not going to fight their kids. Leave them the fuck out of it. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, the thing, Colby Covington, literally, everyone says it's the second best welterweight in the entire world, and he can't call out the first guy who's number one because that guy beat him twice already.
Yeah.
You can't call out Kamaru Usman because Kamaru Usman already beat him twice. You don't want a third match with him. You're gonna get your ass whipped again. So it's like he has to go for somewhere else, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess like I said, it's not a clear path at 170 pounds for him right now.
Nope.
So, but if he keeps winning. Whoever the UFC puts in front of him, if he keeps winning, I mean, eventually they're gonna have to come around and doing a third fight with Usman or whoever ends up being the champion by that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to the co-main event. Ricky, former UFC lightweight champion Rafael Dos Anjos put on a dominant performance in his catchweight bout with Renato Macchiano. RDA was consistent in his attacks in the first 4 rounds, but he noticeably slowed down a bit in the 5th and final round. Ricky, what did you see in this fight, man?
Mugging. That's what I saw. Dude, this fight should have ended, I think, in the 3rd round.
Why was it 5 rounds, Ricky? Why? Why was it 5 rounds?
I mean, yeah, that confused me as well. I mean, aren't the co-main events usually 5 rounds though? I mean,
oh no, they're usually 3 unless it's a championship round.
Unless it's a championship for a championship title.
Unless it's a championship fight. Because there's some cards that have 2 championship matches on the card, but this was just a regular, fight. Like there was.
Well, yeah, I mean, Moicano stepped in on short notice too.
4 days notice at that.
4 days notice. Yeah.
4 days notice.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this was tough to watch, man. I mean, he really busted up Moicano's eye, his left eye. He's just lucky that he didn't get a broken orbital, but the referee didn't stop the fight. Moicano's fight didn't stop the fight, but mad respect to Renato Moicano for staying in there, and for staying in there and taking this beating, but still actually standing toe to toe with RDA. I think in the 5th round, I think RDA respected this dude long enough. I think he turned it into a sparring match because it looked like he was coasting a little bit. He was like man, this guy is mad tough. I mean, he deserves to go the distance.
Yep.
But Moicano, he didn't rest on his laurels, dude. He landed some shots towards the end of that round that made me think, oh shit, this might go another way here.
Yeah. RDA Rafael Dos Anjos came out and said after the fight, I was surprised the fight wasn't stopped. He said, I told my corner after the doctor stepped in from the 3rd to the 4th round and the 4th to the 5th, they didn't stop it in the 3rd, and I said they're going to stop it for sure. They have to. He was getting literally. Macchiato's getting his ass whooped, but they didn't. My coaches told me just walk around, eat some time, don't take any risks right now. So he did hold back in the later rounds because why wouldn't he? He was literally winning the fight. Right. Macchiano's corner did him a disservice, not stopping the fight. Do you think that's true? Do you think they did him a disservice and by not helping him out there, throwing in the towel?
I think so, man, because by the time the 4th and 5th rounds came, it was clear that Moicano was not going to win this fight, especially on decision, and he wasn't landing anything significant to suggest that he could have knocked out RDA or he could have submitted him or anything like that.
Right.
So a part of me thinks that the cornerman, his corner, they should have saved him. They should have just threw in the towel. Like, look, man, you took this fight on 4 days' notice. You're getting your ass beat. Brain trauma is a very serious thing in the sport. You'll come back and fight another day, this time with a full camp. I think so, man. What do you think?
Dude, they did him with this. They did a bogus. Let's be honest. You know better than anybody, right? Because you train in the sport of MMA. As a fighter, you don't go down unless you're down. Unless they either knocked out or you get submitted, right? Otherwise, you're in it. You're in it, and like your pride, your all the yes, it was only 4 days notice, but as an MMA fighter, you train regardless, right? You're always in shape. When that call comes or that door that knock is on your door, you take it.
You open it. Yeah, you open the door.
You know what I mean? And for MMA guys and for fighters, it's hard just to give up. You can't. It's not in your DNA. And for Macchiano, you see this guy. He's getting his ass whooped. His face is a bloody mess. but yet he's moving forward. He's still going. He's not getting knocked out. The guy, the chin this guy has, the way he can just take punches is remarkable in itself. But like, kudos to him for I guess for not giving up. At the same time, it's stupid. Like you need to know your limits, and if you don't, that's where your corner steps in. Like your corner knows, right? Hey, as a fighter, this guy's not going to give up, but we got to do what's best for him, because if not, we're literally talking serious damage long term for this guy.
Right. And I'm not blaming Moicano, dude. A fighter fights.
Right.
He's not going to go, even though he's losing and losing convincingly, he's going to beat up. He's not going to give up on himself. He's not going to, real fighters are not going to go say, I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to fight no more. I can't, or anything like that. It was actually the job of his corner to actually step in and save him from himself. Yeah. And they didn't do that. So that's my take on it, man. That's
there was drama, Ricky, with this fight, because RDA wasn't initially supposed to fight him. There was a lot of ducking. There was a lot of cancellations between this fight.
A lot of games. One of them being from Islam Makhachev. He was supposed to take this fight, but ended up not doing it. There's speculation that he wanted more money, but there's other people say no, he's just ducking them. What do you think that was? I don't know. I don't know if it was his decision. I think it was his manage. I think it was management. His management. They'd be like, why don't? They were probably telling him, don't take this fight, man. You're getting the next title shot after you're getting the next title shot after Justin Gaethje. Don't take any chances or anything like that. Even though I think he would have won that fight against RDA, to be honest, but I tend to think that it was probably people in his ear telling him, don't take this fight, don't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. MMA.
It could be, right?
Boxing,
or
there's politics in it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just how it is, man.
It is. It's how it is. Like if you're Islam Makhachev, you're rightfully so. You deserve a title shot.
Yeah.
He could have.
A lot of fighters don't speak for themselves. They have their guys making decisions for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll tell you what you should do and what you shouldn't do.
Those guys are there for the business side of it, for the money side of it, for the promotion, for the marketing. That's what they're there for. You know what I mean? And you hire them for a reason. So, it is what it is. Fighters fight, and businessmen do business, right?
Right.
Let's go into this quickly, Ricky. Bryce Mitchell defeated Edson Barboza via unanimous decision. What did you see here?
Yeah, just pretty much kind of like what we saw in the main event. It was just dominant wrestling. Mitchell even caught Barboza with a shot and could have finished him, but he decided to keep him on the ground, landing some shots. Edson Barboza, man, it's hard to watch because I remember how good this guy was, man. He one of the highest of elite strikers in the UFC. It's just that he never could ever win the big one. You know what I mean? Like he has a lot of highlight reel knockouts. He just was never able to get to the big time. And that's basically what I saw, man. I saw a 36-year-old fighter that, part of me thinks probably shouldn't fight anymore.
Yeah. What's next for Mitchell? Doug Nasty,
man. He's undefeated too, man. He's undefeated. Wrestling is top notch. He has heavy hands too to boot. He's moving up the featherweight ranks, man. And don't be surprised if we end up seeing him matched up with guys like Josh Emmett, Arnold Allen. Assuming Allen wins this fight next weekend against Dan Hooker. Yep. So he's gonna move up the ranks, man. And Volkanovski, the king of the featherweights right now. So he'll have some competition coming his way.
Yeah, he does. That division's starting to come out to be really, really competitive for sure. Kevin Holland, Ricky defeated Alex Oliveira via TKO. What are your thoughts for this fight?
It was a good fight. Really good fight. Kevin Holland coming down from middleweight, going to welterweight.
He looked it too. He looks like a big guy, man.
He's a big guy. I think it was like 6'1", something like that. But but he came. He had a good debut, and I think he's fought in welterweight before, but he's had this was a good return to 170 pounds for him. He did have some trouble in the first round with Oliveira, but came back, got the TKO win, took out one Cowboy, and the post fight interview, he wanted to call out another Cowboy, right? Donald Cerrone. So good fight, good win for him.
Yep, good fight, good win for him. Sergey Spivak defeated Greg Hardy via TKO. What are your thoughts for Mr. Sergey Spivak getting the win, Ricky?
Yeah, that was pretty dominant, very quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming off a loss too, so he needed this win. And for Greg Hardy, this was for Greg Hardy, dude. This was his last fight on his current deal with the UFC.
Yep.
But this guy's lost, I think, 4 in a row now, and he's been finished. And most of all of his losses. He needed to win this fight in order to have some kind of leverage in negotiating with the UFC. But after this, I don't see the UFC offering him another contract. I think he's gone after this.
Yeah. Real Perez in the comments, going back to what we were talking about, Marciano versus RDA. Your corner's supposed to look out for you. They see things you don't see. Fight went 1 to 2 rounds longer than it should have. A real fighter will never say, I cannot continue. Very true. And we said it.
100%. 100%.
A real fighter will fight. They would not get out despite they know they come on. Realistically, they know that they're losing. But
right.
When you have that puncher's chance, anything is possible. I mean, Marciano was giving it to RDA in that fifth round. At least he was going after round. Yeah, he was going after him.
He never gave up on himself, man. That's the one thing you're never gonna see. You're never gonna see from a real fighter that they're gonna give up. They're gonna say I'm done. That's the job of the referee. That's the job of the corner to decide whether you're done or not. And nobody stepped in, so he possibly took some unnecessary damage.
Yeah.
That could affect them in the long term. You know what I mean?
And Real's absolutely 100% correct. Your corner's supposed to look out for you. They did it. And very, very. It wasn't a good look for sure. But that's the name of the game, right? It's a violent sport.
It's called the hurt business.
Yeah. What's next for Spivak, Ricky, after this dominant win against Greg Hardy?
Well, yeah, just like I said, he's coming. He needed this win, so it's tough to say for me right now who would be next for him. But whoever they put him up against, he'll need to move up. You know what I mean? He's not one. I think he probably is somewhere in the top 15 in the rankings right now in the heavyweights.
Yep.
So, just one fight at a time, and then we'll see where Mr. Spivak goes from here.
Yep. UFC 273, Ricky, coming up. They announced the matches. 3 really good matches that stand out to me. Which one of those 3, or which one on that card in general, is one you're really excited about?
Which one are you excited about?
Oh, the main event, of course.
Yeah, the Volkanovski and the Korean Zombie.
Yeah, that fight's gonna be crazy. I mean, Korean Zombie can go toe to toe with anybody. Volkanovski show how good he is in the striking game. But the Chimaev match is also
that one.
Dan the Birds match, man. I was like, ooh.
Hey, when this fight was rumored for a long time, they've been talking about it, and then it died down a little bit. And I was like, okay, is this fight gonna happen or not? Sure enough, man. Khamzat Chimaev versus Gilbert Burns. This is a big step up for Chimaev.
Yep.
And for sure, whoever wins this fight is gonna get the next credit. Usman or Edwards, whoever wins that fight. And who do you got on that one, man?
And the Chimaev and Burns one?
Yeah.
Oh, Chimaev right now. I think it's his time. It's his time,
bro.
Yeah, and Usman needs competition. He needs legit competition. He's somebody he's never faced before, and Chimaev gives him.
I would dare say that Chimaev is the only threat in the welterweight division to Kamaru Usman right now.
We'll see. I think.
I'll dare say it.
You can't stay king forever, right? Like you can't stay king forever. And Usman's been literally on the top of the welterweight division for a very, very long time. So yeah, and if he is really thinking about going boxing, maybe now's the best chance Chimaev has in getting maybe a distracted Usman. So who knows, right?
No, I mean I think Usman's out of his mind, like I said, though. Yeah, his striking has improved. He almost knocked Jorge Masvidal's head off his shoulders that one night.
Yeah.
But look at his fight with Colby Covington. You remember how that went. Colby Covington is not the biggest striker in the UFC, but he was giving it to Usman in those later rounds.
Yeah, he gave it. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know about that, man. I think he should stay where he's at. But yeah, the main event I'm excited for. The Korean Zombie, he always puts on exciting fights.
Yep.
So, and I love watching his fights. He goes back a long time too, man. But back in those days. Back to the WEC days, bro. I always remember those days.
Korean Zombie, man. Definitely a fan favorite. Volkanovski is going to be a good fight.
And then what's the other one? Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Just put the belt on Peter Yan already, bro.
No, hold on. You never know, right? Sterling can make it a way more competitive fight than the last one, right? But
I hope so, man, because that last fight, like, dude, I mean, you should see the hate that this guy gets on social media right now, man.
I mean,
hopefully he can channel that and use that
he won the championship based off
disqualification,
and that's not a way you want to win.
And everybody saying he was putting on a masterful performance on the
he took a page out of LeBron James' book, started flopping,
Like, yeah, exactly.
That was that. We didn't get to talk about AEW, Ricky, but real quick, Revolution was this past Sunday. What was your favorite card in the match? What was your favorite match?
Favorite match on the card?
Yeah, favorite match on the card.
Oh man, this
a long 2 hours.
it was long, bro. It was a long show.
That show was long. That show was like 4 hours long. It was like 4 hours. It was really long, but it was
really long.
But it was good.
Yeah, I think I like the CM Punk MJF dog collar match.
It was a good match.
It was a slow match, but then it started getting better and better. It was getting bloody. I mean, there was a story there, bro. There was a story.
Yep, absolutely.
All the way into the end until when Wardlow came out and MJF called him, hey, give me the ring so I can knock CM Punk out, and he can't find the ring. And then when CM Punk knocks him down, he was like, oh, I found the ring. Here you go. Gives it to CM Punk or puts it right there for Punk to pick up. I love that match. And my kids were watching the match too, man. They were seeing all that blood and everything. They enjoy watching CM Punk and MJF. So I enjoyed that match. I think every match, like all the tag team matches, the ladder matches, those were good.
Dude, that whole entire pay-per-view was worth it. It was legit worth it.
Yeah.
All right. It was really good to watch. It was fun to watch.
But William Regal, bro. William Regal.
Yes. William Regal
showed up.
He showed up making his debut. The manager, I watched Dynamite tonight. He was the manager. He's officially the manager of Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson's tag team. He cut a promo today that I thought was really good. I saw it right before I hopped on the JCA Sports podcast. He cut a promo. It was really good. He even got emotional talking to Tony Schiavone. But you got to watch it if you haven't.
I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it back after the show, man. But yeah, it was. I was shocked. I was not expecting to see William Regal show up. So I popped for that one, man. That was good to see.
Jeff Hardy, All Elite, Ricky. What's your final thoughts on that? Finally.
Long time coming. And it was expected too, man, because he let it slip before. Like, I'm going to AEW. Fuck WWE. Those were his exact words. Fuck WWE. I'm going to AEW and stuff like that. He's done interviews.
And they want this man in the Hall of Fame.
Right. Hey, man, he's not ready to go in the Hall of Fame yet. He'll be the Undertaker. Right. Yeah, for sure. The thing is, they want to induct him by himself and not the Hardy Boys because Matt Hardy's in AEW. No, you can't do that. You can't induct one or the other. You got to induct them both. So, yeah. So I guess that's the return of the Hardy Boys. I look forward to the matches against the Young Bucks, the Lucha Bros, Santana Ortiz, FTR, Jurassic Express, all of them, man. That's going to be something.
Red Dragon, man. There's one thing AEW does right. Their tag team division is top notch, man. Top notch.
Best in wrestling right now. Anyway.
Oh my God, that 3-way match with Jurassic Express, Red Dragon, and Young Bucks was amazing.
That was good too. Yeah.
They always do good. When we went to Revolution, Ricky, it was the Young Bucks versus Omega and Hangman. And that was so good. That was literally the best match I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
Today, it was so good. So good. But
AEW, they know how to put on these good matches, man, for the fans. And
oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, that's the one thing they know how to do for sure. Yeah, great show. Best one we had yet. Thank you for Eric jumping on talking WWE boxing with us. Thank you for Real Perez jumping on the comments. Thank you, Ricky, of course. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you everybody for liking, hearting our show. We're only getting better. I like this time slot. I think Wednesdays are good.
This works.
This works. It definitely works. We'll be here week in, week out. Make sure to follow us on Anchor, on Spotify. We are part of the JCA Sports brand. and we're just, a different show. Sports Drip Live. We talk MMA, we talk wrestling, we talk boxing, anything combat, sports. We'll be here talking about it for sure. But Ricky, anything you want to say before we leave?
Yeah, just want to thank everybody that tuned in, everybody that commented, that liked the show, and this. Yeah, I agree with my brother here. This was probably the best show we've done, and look forward to doing more in this time slot.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next Wednesday. As for Ricky, as for Eric, my name's Jose. We appreciate you all, and we'll see you guys next week.